Welcome, allies, to the Visionary Activist Show, and I'm your weaver of context, Caroline Casey. So, today we are honoring Abdullah Ibrahim, South African jazz musician who died on Monday, welcoming his friend, ally Deborah Felmeth, to guide us into the enormity of his great soul, his influential dedication, his practice, that he may resonate in us all with music to follow. And including Mandenberg that he played at Nelson Mandela's inauguration and was played at Zohran Mamdani's inauguration. Welcome, beautiful Deborah Felmeth.
Thank you, Caroline. I hope you can hear me well. I'm tuning in from a very, very rainy day in Maine. With my heart in Bavaria, which is where Abdullah was last living, and where he died on Monday of this week. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So there's so much. We had a lovely evening stroll where we conversed about his birth chart, his death chart, the beautiful symmetry of it all, which we may bring up. But just a little bit, October 9th, 1934, in Cape Town, and his son, SUN, at 15 Libra, which is a boat dock wrecked by storms, is being rebuilt, rebuilding the entire world through art. So that resonated with you, yes? And when he died,
rebuilding the entire world by art is it couldn't be more perfect in terms of what his guiding and motivating forces were. He wanted to do healing work with every note that he played, that he did do.
And you go way back with him, right? So when does your cahooting begin?
Our cahooting began in 1985,
wow.
And he came to Middlebury, Vermont. At that time, he was playing at Middlebury College, and I was lucky enough to be able to meet him and to shepherd him around during the weeks that he spent there in Middlebury. And he came back 3 more times, I believe, maybe only twice more. The last time as recently as 2022, yeah, he played a concert there. And so our friendship is deep, and I feel so blessed to have known this giant of a man, a great soul, a great soul.
Yeah, and then just in the periphery way, because we'll speak to his extraordinary contribution, his extraordinary schedule. Right, and that we have a little clip we'll play in the fullness of time of him. He went to Cape Town in March at the age of 91 and played in the jazz festival there. Beautiful, we have that. And then I was lucky enough, when you were doing so much for him, on the road, and you summoned me and you were like, come to the Kennedy Center and help me do these things, whatever. So it was a great honor, just a teensy bit, but to hang with him and these great jazz musicians. Again, I don't know who they. I know they were great. They probably know who they were, but and we had just a very beautiful dinner hangout with his great self. That was powerful, because I've loved his music since a friend sent me on a cassette tape his, Africa, Tears and Laughter, Ishmael. In 1980, I think that's right. Yeah, 1980. So, yeah, and I'll be playing that after the break when you have gone on to do many, many, many goodnesses in the world. So we have you for a little bit. Yeah, and then you wrote,
I said, it's true. His contributions, you have something from 1980. I met him in the 80s. And yet he had already been playing at that time, 20 years since Duke Ellington, encountered him in Switzerland. And 20 years before that, into the 40s in South Africa. You know, he started really as a very young man being musically inclined. Both his mother and his grandmother were, and he started singing and playing piano very young, and then had this beautiful group called the Jazz Epistles. And then by the 60s, when the very repressive South African government, and at that time I was a teenager and was lucky enough to live in South Africa, but did not know that Abdullah Ibrahim was there. And of course, he was still being called Dollar Brand at that time. But I lived in Johannesburg and was able to see myself what Soweto looked like before the riots of 1973. I was there in 1967 for many months because my father took me there, and he had worked there. And so this, you know, it's a very, very, you know, curiously woven history that I have with him, but his history is simply a trajectory of greatness, which he, I think, maybe did not consciously choose, but became aware of early on, and then later he chose to do with it everything that he possibly could, because he recognized that he was in a powerful position. I mean, there are lots of good musicians in the world, and some of them, you hear their music and you think, wow, that is so great. But Abdullah was a great teacher, a great listener, a great storyteller, a great healer. He was a very funny man. He had a great sense of humor. And so he used all of these things in his life. You know, in the 50s and the 60s, he was coming out of South Africa because he recognized we have to get out of here before the government turns against us, because musicians tell the truth. They can't help it. And so that's when he went to Switzerland. And it was his wife, Fatima B. Benjamin, who went across town and said to Duke Ellington, "You have to come and hear my husband." And he did. And, yeah.
And then if it's okay with you, we might play just the Jazz Masters 4-minute clip now, and then you come back in right after that. Is that good?
Sure.
Okay, so let's play Oh Great Kirsten backstage, the Jazz Masters. It's a 4.5-minute clip of him, his beautiful voice talking about South Africa. Here we go.
So jazz music, from my perspective, is the highest developed form of music ever in the history of the planet. I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, in 1934. It was a suburb of Cape Town. It was one of those apartheid enclaves where we were allowed to stay. It was initiated with the slave trade. We were robbed of our traditional belief system. It was some of the jazz music that I listened to was Willis Conover, Voice of America. But our local stations also, radio stations also play jazz music. And then I got, being a pianist, interested in boogie woogie. So I listened to Albert Ammons, Pete Johnson, Meatloaf Lewis, boogie woogie. And that's how I developed the left hand. So we grew up playing in dance bands. But what they did was take those Irish reels and put an African beat to it. Tuxedo Junction, we played, what else did we play? Song of India, Glenn Miller, Joe Liggins, and Basie, and our own traditional music. And sometimes you couldn't differentiate whether it was a Xhosa or a Tswana riff, or whether it was Basie. No, it was that close because it had this call and response. Kippie Mokete, So he was like inspirational for us, and he was the one that said to us, "Listen, well, I understand I play Mozart, but we have to look at our own music here." So we started researching our own traditional music, and then we realized the complexity of it, and it was accepted in the communities, and we played so many concerts. And then somebody organized for us to record, and it was quite unique because recording studios were controlled by white white producers who told us what we need to play. So jazz was a breakthrough for us in many ways, politically, musically, socially. We knew what was going to happen in the end, that we were going to be liberated. There was no doubt about that. And then the ANC came and asked me and said, "Will you play a more active role in this and really take the music to the world?" We were playing in this little club in Zurich. And it was great for us because I met all of the jazz musicians who came through there. So we were just about to close down when Satima walks in with Ellington and his whole entourage. So he came and said, "Okay, in 2 days' time, you're all coming to Paris. You're coming to record." I said, "What?" So we go to Paris. And I think this is also something that I learned from Ellington. He actually writes the song for the musicians. You have that dynamic of the musician actually being comfortable in his zone. And then if you put it all together, you get the unique sound. And Ellington was a master at that. I mean, it's such a wonderful and great self-enriching experience when you speak to the masters, and understand the road and the path that they've taken, the selfless path. I was invited to play at Nelson Mandela's inauguration. And that day at the event, the whole world was there. Our music was healing songs. This was our duty and our role in society. And this is what jazz music does. It really gives you that insight into yourself because you constantly challenge yourself. And jazz music opens you to you. It opens you to yourself.
It opens you to you. That's so wonderful to hear his voice that resonates very strongly in you and your lifelong, or since the 80s, since you were a teen, cahooting, and we go right, and then, the power of dedication, the power of practicing, and what was it he said about most of the world is not practicing? What was that crucial thing you said?
Yeah, that's actually something that he did say in the 80s that always remained with me, which is that 95% of the world isn't practicing. And he's not talking necessarily about practicing the piano, but it includes practicing the piano or any other instrument or any other practice. But if you include, he says it opens you to yourself. This is what music is and what all art is doing and what we really need more of in this world right now. So he's a master teacher in this. And he spoke of how Duke, composed for the musicians, well, those beautiful musicians that you heard at the Kennedy Center. Abdullah's doing the same thing. He's absolutely, he knows their sound, he knows their personalities. And he often, would other people would want to play his music for him, and say, can I play for you? And they might do a good job of playing the same notes that they heard in whichever recording, which was just the way he played it that one time. But as he said to me once, he said with a great grin on his face, but the difference is they don't know why I played that note there. So, you could play the same note, but if you don't know who you are, what you are doing, why are you saying this in this moment, through your fingertips with these great instruments of wood and and metal that resonate so beautifully and stir so many emotions. Then you're just imitating, which is, of course, why he was always saying improvisation is you need to start there. You can't, if you're reading somebody else's music, if it's Mozart or if somebody wrote down Abdullah Ibrahim, you are imitating something, okay, that's something, but you won't start to play until you improvise, because that's what we are all doing. That's what you and I are doing right now. We're improvising. We're saying, where does this conversation go? What's our next step? What's our reason for living? What's our sense of purpose? And that's what he was saying, I practice. I practice with purpose. And he never forgot that he was African, and that was the most important thing, actually, that he recognized. And he said it there that, the ANC said, will you take this music out so the rest of the world can hear it? Because the complexity belies everything else in the continent of Africa that he recognized as an African. The world was not seeing their sophistication, their history, their mathematics, their relationship to the stars, to astrology and astronomy. I mean, he was interested in all of these things. And he thought the study of history, where do you come from? How do you know? And who are you? What do you understand? He also many times said, there are no mistakes. This is another thing, because as a devout Muslim, he knows God creates everything. 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 So there aren't any mistakes.
And I think what comes to mind also is our buddy ancestor Robert Bly would read Rilke's poem about seeing Rodin's sculpture and just saying, when you encounter, a master, you feel, I must change my life. I must deepen my dedication. And I think, when Abdullah talks about the masters who are on a selfless path, right? And music as a means of accessing ancient wisdom. We go, right, that's so much what we need now. And what I said to you in our walk, and I was looking at his chart and his death chart, there's something so heartening about the death chart, the beautiful symmetry. He dies at the exact new moon, which is just rising in the east when he dies in Germany, in Gemini. The voice, the vibration goes forth, with a warning for everybody to deepen their dedication. And when he's born, Neptune, I said, is at 13 Virgo, which is, connected to a lineage of excellence. And you said, yeah, truly.
Yeah.
And then, when he dies, Pluto in the sky is at 5 Aquarius, performer in a ritual mystery play, exactly trining his beautiful, beautiful Venus overhead when he's born, whose image is the ideals of a man crystallizing before his inner vision, inward calm, focus, letting things take shape, life as a meditation on one's vision of beauty. And, you spoke about this, and, but there was such symmetry in his departure, as though it was like, well done, complete. That was your sense from speaking to those who were with him, yeah?
Absolutely. He was prepared. He was prepared. He had completed his life work, and because he was also a martial arts master, he was, for decades studying with a Japanese sensei. And so he was prepared physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And having completed this life work, what I want you to repeat the sentence you said, life as a meditation on beauty, I think is what you said, because this is what he not only did inside himself and therefore became prepared to die a beautiful death, but it's what he intended to give, this meditation on beauty. Every concert that he played was intended to be healing. It was a healing practice. He would often say it backstage. He would stand with the Akaya, which means home in Zulu, and was the name of his group, his sextet that you saw, for instance, at Lincoln Center or at Kennedy Center, and stand, and they would sometimes they would pray, or sometimes they would just look at each other, and then he would go out and say, okay, let's go and let's make this, let's do some healing work now. Let's have fun. Boom. Mm-hmm. And out they would go. Right. Every note, every instrument, yeah.
Right, and in I didn't have his birth time, but the noon chart works really well, and that gives his rising when he's born as 19 plus Capricorn, which is a hidden choir is singing, and we go, oh. And when he goes out, I see the point directly beneath him is 22 plus Leo, which is a bareback rider thrills the excited crowd. So we don't know, the resonance continues in some way. And you wrote this beautiful poem. Do you feel to read it?
I'd be happy to read it. I went to Bavaria 2 years in a row at the time of his 89th birthday and the time of his 90th birthday. And he's living in a very small village, really, and it's beautiful, beautiful countryside, and in a way familiar to me, not unlike the hills of Vermont where I live. And so one evening he played, I think, 4 concerts each year for his birthday, 4 solo piano concerts. It was his birthday, but he was giving us the gift. And so I'll read you one that I wrote in 2023. Huh. It's entitled Gasthof Hirtsinger, because that is the name. A Gasthof is a guest house, and the Hirtsinger is the name of the family that once owned this farm. Abdullah's favorite concert hall was once upon a time a big, beautiful Bavarian barn built to house cows and hay, sheep, goats, chickens, stools. Now it is brilliantly repurposed. The upstairs haymow, a wonderful oak and stucco, squarish space with fairly uncomfortable benches and exquisite acoustics. The Fazioli plays like a bell, the resonance so perfectly profound and clear, refracted light as Abdullah plays the first few notes with more pause than pressure, a most deliberate force, sostenuto, suspending shape in space, testing the water. He plays as if visiting shrines, structures built of stone and light, or like exploring a coastline, discovering tidal pools in seas related by single strands of harmonic structure, like seaweed clinging to rock after waves wash over repeatedly, and each time the strands are rearranged just slightly, intricately. Then suddenly, not so subtly, everything changes, and we are standing in a new life. A new relationship, a fire flickering under an iron pot where foods simmer as brown arms reach to stir and serve. We serve by listening, continuously refilling our shell-shaped ears with long lemniscates of sound. Worship all that connects us. Music, food, laughter, sharing, breath, light. Dark and light, bright peals and deep murmurings mix in no competition. Only reflection and refraction as Abdullah weaves a cocoon into which all of us are spun. The experience equally personal and communal, private and wide open. His mastery is the exquisite permission granted to go wandering way out into unexplored territory, single file, balancing on edge, returning, floating, as if the waters of familiar shores were gently washing over, polishing us all to a rock wreath forest shine. His lips let soprano lines tumble forth out over his long hands in barely sung cahoots with his fingers. And there's a little P.S. to this poem that I wrote. Afterwards, we happily eat sacra torta, delicious birthday cake, as he turns 89 years here in Bavaria.
Yes, and when you sent it to me, you said, "I will miss everything about him, everything."
I will.
A great being. So yeah, and and in feeling more kinship, the two times I was in South Africa, everyone spoke about District 6, which is where he grew up. And District 6 was a place of, even in apartheid where, Indians and Jews and blacks and all lived in community harmony. And of course, tyranny hates that and evicted everybody. And all the cab drivers, everyone, as though it were yesterday, said, but they couldn't build anything because every time they tried, they heard the sound of children laughing and the smells of all the cooking pots, so they couldn't touch it because and your poem invokes that, and he does too. District 6, a place of great beauty. We're just remembering all of these conversations that have been important to us in myriad forms, and your long conversing with Abdullah. And I know you must go off to meditation and possibly Germany. You don't know, but I will reluctantly release you, and we will keep our conversation going forever. Beautiful Deborah Felmeth, thank you so much. But is there any? We're on our way to break, but is there any last woof honoring you want?
Well, the last woof I would say is that every note that Abdullah played was deeply intentional. He said to me once, it used to be that it took so many notes to say what it was that I wanted to say. And now, it took many steps to get there, but now it's one note. It's this note. It was extremely conscious. It was a whole breathing, cellular respiration of soul infused into his music. And I loved him deeply. And I wish him well on his journey.
Yes, and I will let you go in 10 seconds here, but also his piece, Mandenberg not only played it, did he play it at Nelson Mandela's inauguration, and also it was played at Zohran Mamdani's inauguration. But when those on Robben Island were deprived of music, people secretly piped in Mandenberg, right? And that's so
Yeah.
crucial because I had a great guide, Ishmael, in South Africa, who insisted I go to Robben Island, and he said, "Did you feel it? Did you feel
Yeah.
the spiritual technology that Nelson and his comrades had to create?" And I said, "I did feel in Robben Island going with a life sentence over your head how difficult that would be." And Ishmael said, "But you know, Nelson and his comrades, they were singing as though it was nothing." Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Abdullah
Yeah.
contributed to that. So
Yeah.
thank you, darling.
Mandenberg. Thank
Mandenberg.
you. I am. No, take the
Yeah.
D out. It's just Mandenberg.
Ma-
Mann.
Thank you, Mandenberg. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. That's good.
Mandenberg. Mandenberg. And
Mandenberg.
yeah.
We're going to hear it on the
Be
other side.
listening. Be listening out into the cosmos. Be listening out into the cosmos. That's all I can
Yes,
say.
that's it.
What we all
right.
need to do. That's my message. Thank you for having me.
Of
Be
course.
well.
Be well. Mwah. Okay, team, we're going to switch gears briefly for our break music, which will be Zohran Mamdani and the Knicks. It's a short thing, but it's all part of it. We're on the eve of Juneteenth. You know, it's the Obama opening center in Chicago. It's the Knicks parade, but it's all about power of dedication. And on the other side of Zohran Mamdani, we'll come back with beautiful music from Abdullah Ibrahim. So here is Zohran Mamdani as our break music. Here we go.
Not only is he good enough, he is the new standard for greatness. It is in that 0.4% that OG Anunoby watches the ball float from the top of the arc and start running toward the basket, fingers reaching towards the heavens. It is in that 0.4% that Karl Anthony Towns finds the strength to mourn his mother and still pull in rebound after rebound, make block after block. It is in that 0.4% that Jose Alvarado shows every kid growing up in public housing that a son of Brooklyn and Queens can win for every one of the 5 boroughs. It is in that 0.4% that Mitch breaks his finger before game 1 and says, "Go get the tape." It's in that 0.4% that Josh Hart gets rebounds that break teams, that McCall Bridges proves he was worth every single draft pick, that Landry Shamet pulls up from downtown, that every one of these 18 players transforms the franchise, that Mike Brown keeps this team believing. Most of all, it's in that 0.4% that the Knicks do what New Yorkers have always done when we are told something is impossible. We find a way. We win. Standing here before what feels like the entire city, there is a Jalen Brunson quote I can't stop thinking about. I'm gonna tell you. You are allowed to think about the worst possible scenario, but you gotta go out there and do something about it. When Jalen Brunson took that pay cut, my friends, that was doing something about it. Time after time, we thought about the worst possible scenario. And time after time, the Knicks went out there and did something about it. The Knicks did not just win for New York City. They won like New York City. What is New York if not your back up against the wall? A dream that feels just out of reach. A rent payment you don't know how you'll ever make. What is New York if not 99.6% of the world stacked against you? And who are New Yorkers if not people who hear those odds and smile? Who look at a 0.4% chance of success and ask, why are you giving me a head start? This is our city. This is our team. For 53 years we watched. For 53 years we waited. Now we've won. One last time, New York, say it with me. Knicks in. Knicks in. Knicks in. So much.
So this is the Visionary Activist Show. I'm your weaver of context, Caroline Casey. We were just with our friend Deborah Felmeth. We are returning to honoring Abdullah Ibrahim. But just a little clip there, because Abdullah Ibrahim grew up in District 6 in South Africa, and Zohran Mamdani is really, New York is like District 6 now. You know, it's this blending, and the great stars were all, you know, Caribbean and Puerto Rican, and this joy from dedication. And that's part of our theme, you know, to feel the quality of dedication and the quality of being underestimated and then coming through. So we have some beautiful parts of Abdullah Ibrahim to play. This is a very long piece. It's wonderful. It's Abdullah Ibrahim, Africa, Tears and Laughter, Ishmael. And it's the first thing I heard from him. A friend, Benita Blakely, wherever you are, sent it to me in 1980, a collection of great things on a cassette tape. And so here is Abdullah Ibrahim when he was Dollar Brand, about to become Abdullah Ibrahim, Tears and Laughter, Ishmael. It's a long piece. It's 13 minutes. Just go with it. Let's all go with it. Here we go.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanur Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
آمين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين 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 رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد صلاة تكون لنا لله بابا مسهودا وأنا طريق بابا مسدودا وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Astaghfirullah al-azim Astaghfirullah al-azim Astaghfirullah al-azim Astaghfirullah al-azim Allah Astaghfirullah al-azim Astaghfirullah al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfir al-azim Astaghfirullahaladzim 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 Allah subhanallah
Astaghfirullahaladzim Astaghfirullahaladzim
Allah Rahman Jalilun Allah, 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 Jalilun Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Hak, Ya Jalilun Allahu Akbar, Allah, Salam alaikum, Allahu Akbar, Muhammad Rasulullah, Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jalilun Allah, 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 Jalilun Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kadzalik Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
team. That's Abdullah Ibrahim, a long ago composition, Africa, Laughter and Tears, Ishmael. May yearning, aspiration, dedication, and practice, inform our hearts and our spirits at this terrible and beautiful time. We're going to play as much as we can of his work, Mandenberg, and then just a brief before we do that. When Abdullah Ibrahim is born, his Venus in Libra, again, beauty and art, quintiles Pluto, opens portals to power through that art. And when he dies, Pluto is exactly in the sky, trining his Venus, well done, mission accomplished. And Jupiter in the sky is exactly on his Pluto. And I know that pattern really well because it's the story, Jupiter, of the phoenix, Pluto. And before the phoenix bursts into flames and is reborn, he sings this beautiful song. And all of creation listens to it and is reminded of what's really important: aspiration, yearning, beauty, kinship, mutual aid. So for the first time ever, Abdullah Ibrahim, known as Dollar Brand, went to Robben Island where Mandela was imprisoned, and all forms of music were banned. A lawyer smuggled this music, Mandenberg, into the control room, blocked the doors, and played it over the loudspeakers. It was Mandela's first sound of music in decades. Abdullah played that at Nelson Mandela's inauguration, and it was played at Zohran Mamdani's inauguration. It's all one story, all brewing. So we will play as much as we can. Many other wonderful things in the show notes that you can find at Visionary Activist Show Patreon. I will list all the things that we didn't get to play and the show notes as well. And so here's just a little bit, however much we can fit in, of Mandenberg, his great piece. Thank you, Kirsten Thomas. You can find all the clips we didn't play at Patreon Visionary Activist Show. There we go.
American historian Manisha Sinha.
One could imagine the permanent achievement of interracial democracy and Black citizenship in this country. And if we had had that, you could really think about the republic that we had after the civil rights movement as having taken place 100 years prior. So it would have been a tremendous success for American democracy if indeed we had been able to preserve the results of the Civil War and create a society in the South that was more just towards people of African descent. You know, we still live with the long afterlives of slavery and racism in this country, and one of the reasons why we do that is precisely because Reconstruction was overthrown in a brutal manner.
Get Learned, only on KPFA.
There are easier ways to do radio than this. Corporate sponsors, paywalls, wealthy backers calling the shots. KPFA chose a different path. Listener-funded, independent, accountable to the community instead of advertisers. And for 77 years, listeners like you have made that possible. Guardians, our monthly sustainers, support KPFA at whatever level works for them. $5 a month can make a real difference when enough people come together to give. Because independent media does not survive automatically. It survives because people decide it should. Join them. You pick the number, we'll keep the radio on. kpfa.org.
You're listening to 94.1 KPFA in Berkeley, 89.3 KPFB in Berkeley, 88.1 KFCF in Fresno, and online everywhere at kpfa.org.